Obama got some support for his NSA reforms from key members of congressional intelligence committees today. Senator Dianne Feinstein, the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and Congressman Mike Rogers, who chairs the House Intelligence Committee, both appeared on NBC's Meet the Press. Feinstein said the reforms won't damage national security. Let's listen to that.
I think that what the president has said is that he wanted to maintain the capability of the program. That as Chairman Rogers said, it has not been abused or misused, and it is carried out by very strictly vetted and professional people.
Let's bring in California Democrat Congressman Adam Schiff. Congressman Schiff sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. You bet.
You have introduced legislation to restructure the NSA's phone metadata plan. Is your plan in line with what the president is proposing?
It's very much in line with what the president proposed, because it would restructure the metadata program. It would end the government's bulk collection of metadata, as the president said he wants to. It would also immediately put into effect a system where the intelligence community, the NSA, would have to go to the FISA court before querying data in the database. It goes a bit beyond what the president said the other day, because it specifies that the telephone companies, the private carriers, would hold on to their own data. I think that's inexorably where we're headed, either because Congress will enact that kind of a reform or because the program will sunset next year. And if we don't act, the effect of the sunset will be the telephone companies will end up holding their own data.
The fate of Edward Snowden, the man who exposed the NSA surveillance programs, has come again after up again after the president's speech on Friday. Here is what your Republican colleague on the Intelligence Committee, Chairman Mike Rogers, had to say. Let's listen to that.
Let me just say this. I believe there's a reason he ended up in the hands, the loving arms of an FSB agent in Moscow. I don't think that's a coincidence, number one. Number two, and let me just talk about this.
You think the Russians helped Ed Snowden?
I believe there's questions to be answered there. I don't think it was a gee whiz luck event that he ended up in Moscow under the handling of the FSB.
Do you agree with him?
I think certainly there are questions to be answered. At this point, we simply don't know those answers. But there are some suspicious facts, and for me, the most significant is there were thousands and thousands of documents that Snowden took that are of paramount interest to the Russian and Chinese military that have no implication in terms of American privacy. So if he was motivated solely by the interest of protecting privacy at home or even some privacy interests of foreign citizens, there was no reason for him to take these many thousands of documents. So the question is, why would he take them? Was he deliberately trying to help foreign services, or has he unwittingly helped those same foreign services? We simply don't know the answer, but you've got to believe we're going to do our best to find out.
Well, President Obama spoke last week to The New Yorker. The magazine's editor, David Remnick, wrote this. I want to read it to you. The president told me, "I do not have a yes/no answer on clemency for Edward Snowden. This is an active case where charges have been brought." There could be an argument made that there would have been no NSA review without Edward Snowden. So what do you think should happen to him, given that?
Well, you know, he certainly has sparked and kindled a very important debate in the country, and it's certainly true that without these disclosures, we wouldn't have had this vigorous public discussion. At the same time, I think the president pretty much put that to rest in his speech the other day by pointing out that you can't have a system where people that work in the intelligence community can make a unilateral decision. I don't like this policy, or I think this program would be better off in the public domain, and declassify on their own whatever they choose to. It simply won't work. It won't protect our national security, and you can't have any intelligence service run that way. So I think that pretty much answers the question of whether the president intends any kind of clemency. Those factors may be mitigating at sentencing, but I think that Snowden would have had a much more powerful case to make had he not fled to China and Russia, had he stayed here at home and made the case that he was acting in a civilly disobedient way because of the privacy interests at stake.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff of the House Intelligence Committee, thank you very much.
You bet.